Hey there, students. I was going to tell you about my philosophy on using phrases and see if that might help with you all. I'm going to start with some basic ones in this little short video and see how it works for you. I like to use things like UF for you have. I use the UR for you are. I use the UL for you will, the UBG for you can, UD for you had, and then building on that concept, I use the whole left side of the keyboard for a whole bunch of different phrases. So if I start with you have, you are, you can, you will, you had, on the left side, I can listen for triggers that I can kind of hold on to until I get across to the right side of the keyboard. And the basic ones are like the word what, W-H-A, or I can use W-H for when, or T-H-A for that. And that kind of gives you a basic start when you want to think about using phrases that are pretty easy to remember. So I can start left to right with that you have, that you are, that you can, that you will, that you had. So that's some basic that phrases that you can start with as you want to think about building some kind of phrasing as you're building on your speed. I don't subscribe to the philosophy of what I call lottery phrases. I mean, I have a few, but they're more specific with working in court and things that I know I'm going to hear every day. But when you start, pausing and waiting for 5 or 6 words in a phrase, unless you're in a court position or something where you hear that every day, it doesn't make sense to me to try to spend a lot of time learning phrases that have 5 or 6 words in them, because the attorney might not say it exactly the way you think he's going to say it, so then you're stuck with being behind because you've waited for him to say what you think he's going to say. Then he doesn't say it exactly like you think you're fixing to phrase it, and he puts a little trick in there. So now you're 4 or 5 words behind, and he's another 3 or 4 words ahead of that. So now you've got to back up or catch up to where you're at. But with those little short phrases that I was talking about, if you get your machine out, you can practice these as I say them. That you have, that you are, that you will, that you can, that you had, and then go to the what phrases: what you have, what you are, what you will, what you can, what you had, and then the when phrases: when you have, when you are, when you will, when you can, when you had. You can do did phrases or do phrases. Did you have? That's one of them. Do you have is another one. You don't have as many options with the ones I've just talked about. But you can do things like do you remember? I use the RM for remember, and I use the RL for recall. Those also work with the what and when phrases. So it gives you kind of a base to work with as far as doing some of your phrasing. So you have do you remember? Do you recall? Did you remember? Did you recall? Did you have? Do you have? You can also, like I said, use other phrases. WHR I use for whether. Whether you have, whether you are, whether you can, whether you will. Most of the time with those kind of phrases, the what, when, that, when, whether, do, did, you can kind of hold on for a second and kind of go across left to right. You don't necessarily have to like hit it quickly and bang it out. You can sometimes go what you have. As it gets faster and faster, you're not necessarily going to be writing from left to right, but you'll be able to hit it quickly and catch up with the speaker with little short 2-3 word phrases. And just wanted some of you guys to think about that, and I look forward to comments. Maybe others can throw out some other phrases. I just want to give you some of the basics that kind of how I started out as a beginning student with some of the basic phrases, being able to use the left side of the keyboard and the right side of the keyboard to work for me as I was building phrases. And they make sense, and the nice thing about them is you can just remember the right side of the keyboard, and then you just change one or two things on the left side. Change that to what to when, did to do to did, whatever, and you've still got your right hand to build the phrases with. And it's kind of a nice way to build phrases, and it keeps what I call family phrases. You know, with the word that, you have a whole bunch of phrases that you can work on. One of my favorites that I've started using recently, based on a huge case I was doing with documents, is the RZ is what I use for recognize. And when you have a lot of exhibits, one of the main things an attorney will say is, after he's marked the exhibit and given it to the witness, he will say, do you recognize that document? So there again, I've got do you, RZ, recognize. Can you recognize? Now sometimes it may conflict with your writing as far as something else goes, but sometimes when you're building a phrase, you may want to think about, am I going to hear this phrase more than I'm going to hear that word? If so, you might want to make the phrase be the more common stroke, and if it's going to be a word, put an asterisk with it, and then you've got the word excuse me, to work with, but you have a more common phrase without having to put that asterisk into the phrase, but you can put it into the word. So I wanted to throw out some of those ideas as far as doing some phrasing and stuff like that, and see if that helps anybody, or maybe gives you some ideas on doing some phrasing. I'm not telling you to go out and change your writing and all of a sudden adopt my writing, but I think what I'm trying to give you are things that make sense, that can help you build speed, but not necessarily are going to conflict a whole lot with your theory. I try to be careful about saying one is better than the other. It's no secret. I try to write short. I feel the shorter I can write, the faster I can write, but it's hard for me to sit there and say that is Breck's way is the only way to go, when I've sat next to some people in the speed contest that write out a lot more than I do, and they beat me. And so you know, I think whatever works best for you as a student or an up-and-coming court reporter, you know, go with it, but be willing to make changes in your writing style if something's not working for you. Like the word I was talking about, do you recognize? Man, that's just been great for me over the last several years to be able to put that into play. So as you become a court reporter and you start working in the field, you'll start working for the same attorneys, or if you're lucky enough to land a court job after a couple of years of freelance, then you'll start hearing things over and over again, and you'll start incorporating other things into your phrasing to help you when it's going fast and furious, or you're doing the same guilty pleas over and over and over. So a couple of things to think about, and man, I'm telling you, you guys are doing great, and I hope everyone has a great evening. Talk to you later. Bye.